Hello. I'm not an alarmist, nor will I ever be, but I'm seeing an enormous amount of facts and signs that all point in the same direction. And I hope that direction never manifests, but let's briefly talk about some facts. By the way, everybody seems to be fleeing off the grid. I'm not fleeing off the grid. I do have, a cabin in the deep, deep woods of Kentucky, up in the hills down in far South Kentucky. I always wanted a cabin, and there's no electricity there, and there's spring water, and I got lots of food, and I can chop wood if I have to, a nice wood burning stove. But there's a lot of, and people that want power are evil by definition. It is the case that the wisest people who have ever walked this earth have found that the greatest difficulty is to effectuate true transcendence. And true transcendence would be power of self over self. And of course, in metaphysics, there's always two selves, or the existential self or the psychophysical self, i.e. the persona non grata that you see in the mirror when you brush your teeth in the morning. That's, of course, the unreal, or the false self, or the mirage self. So true self-mastery is the most difficult thing in the world, and anybody that seeks power over another is completely ignoring the importance of, as they say, working on yourself. In other words, trying to be a better yourself, and wants dominion over others. And this, of course, is always the definition of evil. It is the case now that the front for community conversation and whatnot has migrated to this. And you know exactly what this is that I'm pointing at right here, huh? And I like to at least make an upbeat statement by saying that the people that want dominion over this is that nothing important in this world, nothing truly important is what I should say, runs off of batteries and or electricity. Yeah? When the power goes out and all the batteries have gone kaput, everything that's important in this world, like food, love, hope, faith, honor, nobility, so on and so forth, that's all the important stuff. Back in the day, there was a Times Square, and there were meeting halls where people got together. And now this is the new Times Square. But it's all a mirage. Empirical life is, of course, a mirage, but the stuff that runs off electricity and batteries is absolutely nothing important at all. Unfortunately, what I'm also too seeing, and I know you could agree with me, even if you don't like me, you could agree with me, is that there is such extreme polarization. People are living in their own little nutshells, and they love echo chambers. Steel is only hardened when it gets purified. You cannot create a tough mind or a tough body can't create a tough body, not that I have one, by eating Cheetos and watching reruns on the couch, right? And you cannot create a mind that is sharp, intellectually sharp, much less wise, by living in an echo chamber, with other people that agree with your own delusion. Like, I have this delusion. Oh, I have that delusion too. I agree with your delusion. Well, your delusion's just as good as mine. And, they just all sit in a little echo chamber of their own, horrific ignorances. And that creates... Also, too, I don't care what side you're on. I don't care if somebody's on this side or that side. The extreme polarization, people are actually, when people can't get genuine information and news anymore, then, and none of it's any good, it's all a bunch of partisan buffoonery. It is. It's all partisan buffoonery. But nobody has a sharp mind to be able to discern the buffoonery and the lies and, the power mongering brainwashing that goes on this idiotic portal that's fed via either Wi-Fi. Everybody right now is, people are having wrecks like crazy. They're consuming garbage on their iPhones. And I'm not trying to sound like an old fart. I'm on the computer way more than most people, unfortunately, but I know what's important, and what's important is, you know, um, honesty and food and water and shelter and, family. Not that I have a family, of my own, no wife and kids. The wife died, but, I actually do know it's important. The whole world is being treated like a mushroom. Do you know how you treat a mushroom? You feed it poop and you keep it in the dark. That's how you grow mushrooms. Feed it poop and keep it in the dark. And people are being fed lies, and they're living in their own little nutshell on the internet, and it's not good. It all it does is it polarizes people to radical extremes. You can't have a conversation anymore. Everybody's so polarized. Extreme polarization leads to extreme torque or tension, and that sort of torque or tension is also too mirrored in field theory, by the way. But this divide and conquer mentality where people are, there's... Also, too, I wanted to make a comment on stuff everybody wanted me to look at. It's some sort of thing online about the NWO. The NWO or reset, if you will. And it's this thing that's going around that says, you will own nothing and be happier than ever. Something like, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, that sort of nonsense came from Star Trek. I don't know who... Utopia is, of course, always the idea of a fool. There's no such thing as utopia, never will be. But that sort of garbage came from Star Trek, where nobody has money in the future. But when nobody has money, and there's no barter system, it's like, what if you want something? It's like, well, everybody has a replicator. You just like want a steak or something, or you need a new pillow. You just... you tell the replicator... The replicator like feeds off of free energy, and there's free energy everywhere, and so the replicator manifests a steak or a pot of lasagna or a new bicycle. But of course that's science fiction garbage. This notion of owning nothing. Let me tell you a fact, because just like fields and water, humanity will always find the path of least resistance, and you cannot create a system like that, because it would split apart at the seams so hard, with a force so hard, that the whole world itself would ring. The notion of... because since there are no replicators like there are in Star Trek, if you actually... you should do a Bing search. I say Bing search. And say, you will own nothing in the future and you will be happier than ever. It's something like that. It's completely impossible, because to have a system like that means you go back to like what World War II is, or rations. You had a coupon for meat, and you had a coupon for like candy, and a coupon for gas. Everybody would be on a ration system. And if nobody owned nothing, that means you would have own no property. And that's never going to happen. Because then, like, someone would try to come into your... It's like, well, this is my house. Like, no, nobody owns anything. If I want to stay here tonight, I'm going to say, no, this is my house. Literally, the whole world would bust at the seams so fast from the torque and tension from a dystopian, pseudo-utopian evil. An evil off the Richter scale that the whole world would ring. It would just ring, literally. It's like, I'm gonna camp on your I'm gonna take some of your food over there that you've been growing. It's like, no, that's my garden, that's my land. It's like, no, nobody owns anything anymore. It's absolutely impossible for anything like that to be implemented. The only way something like that could happen is if literally it was Star Trek and everybody had a replicator. It's like, you wanted something, you say, hey computer, make me a bowl of lasagna, or hey computer, make me a bicycle. It's never gonna happen. I can't think of how many hundreds of people sent me to that thing that's all over the internet. It says, you will own nothing and you will be happy. If nobody owns anything, then that means everybody's on a ration system. It's like, oh, you're 65 years old. You've reached the end of your usefulness of life. We're not going to give you any pills and you can't see a doctor. You just need to go home and die. Oh my God. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's completely impossible. It's just 100% utterly impossible. You could never even begin to try to implement something like it's like, I want a Snickers bar. I don't eat candy. Say some of that. I want a Snickers bar. Oh yeah, you've already used your candy ration for the week. You can't have. I was like, you can't do that. You can't manufacture free stuff to give to people. It's like nobody owns anything anymore. It's like, well, I'm not gonna work. I'm just gonna, if I can't own anything, then I'm certainly not gonna work. I don't know if you know this or not, but I lived in Russia for a long while. You go to the grocery store and it's like, there's cheese, there's chicken, and there's some bread. That's the grocery store. You can't disincentivize people like it. That's not politics. That's just a statement of fact. Humanity can never do that. It's never going to happen. Someone could try to implement something like that, but it's absolutely impossible. The pressure would build like someone's shaking a can of soda with their thumb over it. It would bust at the seams faster than you could say spit. Like, you don't own anything? Well, great. I don't have to pay taxes, and I don't have to worry about, I don't have to work. None of us have a perfect system, but that system would never, ever work. There are three things, and also, too, there's a horrible, horrible thing going on in the world, and you know it's true. It doesn't matter what side someone's on. I don't care what side they're on. I despise politics. There's three things that can only, is an ancient Chinese proverb, I think it goes something like this. There's only three things that can be hidden for a short while: the sun, the moon, and the truth. There is such a suppression and of course, the internet is not the public square, but it has become effectively the public square. There is such an incredible, hardcore suppression of the ability to speak freely. And that torque and tension will build up very, very fast. Because just like water, you'll always find the path of least resistance. It's the exact same reason why, Twitter is the most evil website on the internet, right after Amazon. There's a reason why everybody, and I'm not a part of Twitter. I hate Twitter. Twitter is just pure evil. Everybody's moving to like a new platform. It's like, I'm not going to put up with the suppression anymore. It's called Parler, isn't it, or something like that? It's called Parler. I've not been to that site, but everybody keeps talking about it. Why don't you join Parler? Well, just like water, people and their desire for communication, whatever they want to communicate at, left or right, who cares? You cannot stick a cork and let the pressure build. I mean, it will rupture at the seams. Now, if somebody had wisdom, or at least intelligence, they would know this. You can't stick a cork in it. You can't. It can't happen. Because the pressure will build. It will find the path of least resistance. It always will. Just like fields and water, it will find the path of least resistance. Like a chain's strongest, only as strong as its weakest link. People's like, I'm not going to put up with this suppression anymore. And a new, spontaneously, I don't know when Parler came into effect, but I don't think it was that long ago. Spontaneously, a new entity will appear. It's like, hey, we're not going to, suppress you anymore. Everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. At least they should have. But man, there are just way too many road signs on the side of the road, if you will, proverbially, that I'm seeing and that you're seeing. It's just way too many. And all of this goes back to an original premise: never let a good crisis go to waste. Look that one up. Never let a good crisis go to waste. This is the first time in my life I could actually say I'm fearful for humanity. People are so polarized. And the people that are, in charge are the most intellectually unimpressive people this world has ever seen. They think because they have degrees or they they're part of academia, that doesn't make them intelligent. That means they have an education. Education is not directly connected to intelligence. Someone could be highly educated and yet extremely unintelligent. That's what people, I got an education, I'm part of academia. Doesn't mean you're intelligent, and it certainly doesn't mean you're wise. I've never seen there are a lot of factors, kind of like powder and match and perfect situation, and that is extreme polarization of humanity, combined with the people that are running things that are the most intellectually unimpressive, foolish people this world has ever seen. There is a perfect storm conjunction. Extreme polarization, extreme suppression of speech and expression, combined with people that are in charge and that run things that are so incredibly intellectually unimpressive and unintelligent and unwise. That is a trifecta of the most perfect storm imaginable, and it is not good for humanity. I don't care what side you're on, I just don't care. I'm telling you right now, there is a perfect storm of horror. And I'm not trying to be negative, but there really is a perfect storm of horror. Extreme polarization, lack of free expression, extremely intellectually unimpressive, foolish, unwise people running things. There's actually a few more factors than just those three, but those three are enough. And that is really bad. There's always been at least one, sometimes two, but now there's more than three of those factors that are the attributes of a perfect storm. And man, it's not good. Anyway, you tell me what you think. I love reading your comments, actually. I read every comment, believe it or not. I hope you have a nice weekend. I didn't mean to be like the voice of doom and gloom. I wasn't trying to be that at all. I absolutely was not. I never want to be that. No. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.